We once took great pride in being called the good child. Yet behind that quiet obedience lay a terrifying silence that echoes through our adulthood. In the dim light of childhood, we stood still as shadows of authority loomed large, dictating every move and stifling every natural impulse we had. Look at the child receiving a perfect grade. Though the adults applaud loudly, the small face remains frozen, a masterpiece of line art and suppressed emotion. As the years pass, the child grows taller but remains fixed in that same spot, shoulders heavy with massive stones, labeled with words like expectations and obedience. The weight of being calm becomes a physical burden, a crushing pressure that demands you bury your true feelings beneath a mask of perfect, quiet compliance. By the 44th second of this silent endurance, the inner self begins a desperate revolt, manifesting as extreme behaviors or a deep, haunting sense of self-hatred. Consider the image of a shattered bowl. It represents the moment the psyche breaks under the strain of holding back every natural human impulse and desire. We were taught that our value was tied to our silence, but that silence has become a cage that prevents us from experiencing true joy and connection. This is the heavy price of the golden child's crown, a burden that stifles the breath of the living person beneath the weight of old, dead praise. Transitioning into adulthood, we find ourselves encased in a glass cage, surrounded by society, yet profoundly isolated from the world by our own invisible barriers. You stand in the middle of a bustling crowd, yet there is a visible line of separation, a transparent wall that keeps you from truly belonging anywhere. Observe the forced smile as you agree to work extra hours, the muscles of the face straining to maintain the illusion of the helpful, tireless employee. Deep inside, the brain is depicted as being tightly wound by thick ropes of pleasing others, preventing any thought of self-interest or personal boundaries from forming. Every time you want to reach out and touch the world on your own terms, those ropes pull back, reminding you of the cost of disappointing others. This expectation from family is not a wall of bricks that you can climb. It is a subtle glass cage that lets you see life, but not touch. You watch others live authentically from behind the glass, fearing that if you make one wrong move, the precious love you have earned will be withdrawn. The fear of being unloved is the primary architect of this prison, building walls out of the very affection that should have been your foundation of strength. We navigate our professional and personal lives as ghosts of our true selves, haunted by the need to be the person everyone else expects us to be. Now, imagine a space for dialogue, where you sit across from a shadow that represents a therapist or a partner, finally ready to speak your own truth. Soft clouds of text begin to drift across the screen, carrying the words you have been too afraid to whisper even to yourself for all these years. These words are the seeds of your liberation, gentle reminders that your needs are valid and that your voice deserves to be heard in every room you enter. At the 3-minute and 1-second mark of your transformation, your lips begin to move, forming the sounds of a new and much more honest way of living. You practice the scripts of freedom. I need my own space, or I cannot help you right now because I am currently at my own breaking point. Learning to set boundaries is like learning a new language, one where no is not a rejection of others, but a profound yes to your own soul. Notice how the music shifts to a warmer tone, the rhythm pulsing with a gentle movement that reflects the birth of a new, more courageous version of you. Tell your companion, I love you deeply, but I must also love myself enough to say no when my own well-being is at stake or in danger. Each boundary you set is a brick removed from the wall of your isolation, allowing a more authentic and healthy form of connection to finally take root. This is the beginning of the end of the good child and the beautiful birth of an adult who is finally brave enough to be truly real. But then comes the shadow of failure, a desk cluttered with unfinished tasks where you sit paralyzed, staring into the empty void of your own high expectations. Because you were always required to be perfect, the very idea of failing feels like a death sentence, causing you to freeze before you even begin. You see a road that ends abruptly, a visual metaphor for the dead end of perfectionism, where no growth is possible because no mistakes are allowed to happen. You are afraid to try anything new because the ghost of that good child is always there, whispering that only a perfect score is worthy of existence. Look into the mirror and see not your adult face, but the reflection of a small child crying inside, trapped within the shell of a successful professional. The success you have achieved feels hollow and empty, a trophy won in a game you never actually wanted to play in the first place, leaving you cold. The paralyzing fear of disappointment keeps you anchored to the floor, unable to take the risks necessary for true growth and genuine, lasting happiness in life. You realize that your current accomplishments are just more stones in your backpack, adding weight without adding any real meaning or fulfillment to your daily existence. The wind blows softly through the empty rooms of your ambition, highlighting the vast space between who you are and who you have been pretending to be. Now, the process of peeling back the masks begins as you start to dismantle the identity that was constructed for you by the expectations of others. Ancient hobbies and forgotten passions start to emerge from the shadows. A dusty paintbrush, a pair of worn running shoes, or an old book of poetry. These items are the artifacts of your lost self, the pieces of your soul that you set aside so that you could fit into the narrow mold. You stand under a gentle rain, represented by simple, rhythmic lines, as the water begins to wash away the labels of obedience etched into your very skin. Each drop of rain is a release, a cleansing moment that allows the heavy layers of pretense to dissolve and flow away into the dark, receptive earth. Ask yourself the most terrifying question of all. Who am I when I am no longer trying to please anyone else in the world around me today? This question is the key to the door of your true happiness, though it requires immense courage to turn it and step through into the unknown future. You are not your grades, your job title, or your willingness to serve. You are the unique consciousness that exists beneath all those heavy external social roles. As the lo-fi music swells, feel the weight of decades of performance falling away, leaving you light, vulnerable, and finally, for the first time, truly alive. You finally step out of the dark, confined frames of your past and move toward a horizon painted in the soft, hopeful colors of a pastel morning. In this new landscape, the adult you have become reaches out to take the hand of the child you once were, uniting your past and present together. Watch as the glass cage finally shatters into 1,000 sparkling fragments, reflecting the light of 1,000 possibilities that are now yours to explore. The screen fades toward a pure, radiant white, carrying the message that it is time to stop being the good child and start being a happy adult. Your past obedience has served its purpose in protecting you during your vulnerable years, but it can no longer carry you to the places you need to go. Freedom is the wind beneath your wings now, the force that will carry you further than any amount of perfect compliance ever could have in your life. Forgive the child within you for trying so hard for so long, and embrace the adult who is finally ready to live a life of true freedom.